9530. 888-220-9530.
DRE 01943736. NMLS 1132583.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels.
Travis.
2 full power-packed hours. Sunday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Stay up to date on retirement.
Don't forget to check the guest's audio.
Works and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on AM 870, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt doesn't see a friendly Iran.
The USS Abraham Lincoln had an F-35 from the carrier shoot down a Shahed drone from Iran that got too close to the Lincoln. Also today, a half dozen Iranian gunboats approached a U.S. flagged oil tanker and tried to take it under their control. This is not the action of a regime that wants to negotiate.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, weekdays at noon. And take Hugh with you everywhere with the AM 870 The Answer app. AM 870, The Answer. It's time for us to unite and come together.
This program is sponsored by Freedom Bound International.
In the hands of honest, patriotic people.
In support of the universal principles of truth, justice, and the eternal struggle for freedom for all people, this is the Global Freedom Report. You can be a part of the show by calling 866-870-5752. That's 866-870-KRLA. And now, the host of the Global Freedom Report, Brent Johnson.
They may take our lives, throw us in jail, steal our property, defame our character, but they cannot kill the truth. And for the next 2 hours, the truth is back in business. Freedom means never having to ask those people whom you have allowed to run your government for you for permission to do anything. That is the birthright of all Americans and all free people everywhere. Media are supposed to be watchdogs over, not mouthpieces for the government. I encourage you to look at the facts, disregard unverified information you receive from the government or media, and come to your own common sense conclusions. After all, it is your life. You should decide how to live it. This show is about truth, justice, and liberty. We'll also show you practical ways to live free in today's surveillance society and give you a good picture of how the globalist cancer is infecting the world and what you can do to stop it. Coming up on today's show, we will be joined by Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance to discuss the current state of facial recognition technology, real ID, and technocratic efforts to use these technologies to further the surveillance of all people in the United States. Also, we will bring you another invaluable edition of Lessons in Liberty, where you learn really useful things they never taught you in public school. And we will embark on our weekly journey into the dirty world of mind control and behavioral manipulation on Propaganda 101. That's all coming up on today's edition of the show. You can join us right now in our live chat room at www.globalfreedomreport.us or call us toll free from the United States and Canada at 866-870-KRLA. That number again is 866-870-5752 to go on the air. We're going to talk about facial recognition, real ID, and all these technologies that essentially are destined to be used to further control, regulate, and observe the American people. I, for one, don't support that. How about you? We'll be right back with today's edition of the show. Stay tuned.
Fighting for your freedom.
This is the Global Freedom Report.
We'll be right back.
What if you could live free from government regulation? What if you could learn how to lawfully opt out of taxes, eliminate personal liability, and travel in your vehicle without Big Brother watching over you? The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, reveals the truth about the American legal system, the U.S. Constitution, and shows how to protect your God-given rights. The American Sovereign provides information critical to all people who value liberty. This 250-page full-size paperback will change the way you live and teach you how to reclaim control over your life. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, is available through Freedom Bound International. Call them toll-free at 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation is the #1 book on sovereignty in the world. Get your copy today.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. We got a great show for you. My name is Brent Johnson, and it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. My question for the week: do you think it is time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? Do you think it's time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? I'd love to know what you think. When we open up the phone lines, we'll talk about that. Now, I want to touch on something. You know, there's all kinds of discussions that have been going on for years about whether open borders is good, whether, you know, we should have secure borders. You know, yes, no. ICE, Marxist, violent activity in support of borders, against ICE and against deportations. Well, I thought it would be a good idea to give you just a reality check. Here are the penalties that exist today for entering into various countries illegally. Singapore, 6 months in prison and then you're deported. Russia, 2 years in a labor camp and then you're deported. India, 5 to 7 years in prison and then you're deported. Pakistan, 10 years in prison and then you're deported. In North Korea, they don't deport you. In North Korea, the penalty is the death penalty. In the United States, at least under Democrat leadership, you get free housing, free health care, education, food, public transportation, cash, and cell phones. The United States offered these people a free flight to go back home. The ones who declined and are still here are criminals. This is not a question of whether they've been here a long time. This is not a question of whether they are doing good people and not committing any outright outrageous crimes. The fact that they are here and they did not go through the legal process means that they are criminals, period. I just thought, as a reality check, it would be a good idea to let you know. For months, the Marxist political left and a small cadre of centrists and some libertarians have been denying reality on immigration and border controls. They claim, as if they are mind readers, that when Donald Trump ran his 2024 election campaign on mass deportations of illegals, voters actually thought he would only deport violent criminal illegal invaders who committed crimes after crossing the border without permission. This was never President Donald J. Trump's policy or promise. It is a carefully crafted propaganda narrative designed to shift the Overton window, the range of subjects and arguments politically acceptable to the mainstream population at a given time. It is also known as the window of discourse. The key to the concept is that the window changes over time. It can shift or shrink or expand. It exemplifies the slow evolution of societal values and norms and changes the nature of the debate. The original point being that all illegal invaders are, in fact, criminals by default and should be deported. The so-called criminal policy manipulation is an attempt to override the prevailing reason for majority support of strict immigration controls. It is not only about crime. Americans oppose cultural replacement. The fight is against multiculturalism and the erasure of Western civilization. Marxist leftists and their allies want to divert the discussion into a debate over whether or not each particular illegal invader deserves to be deported. It does not matter. Maybe there are friendly illegal invaders, maybe not. Either way, they get the boot. This is the prevailing position of most Americans, as CNN recently discovered in a segment that outlined a series of different polls from a variety of media outlets. All the polls say the same thing. Around 55 to 65% of the U.S. public wants mass deportations of illegal invaders without question and without qualification. If they are not an official citizen, then they must go. The polling results expose a few inconvenient truths for Marxist Democrats and deportation critics. First, the public has not changed its stance on immigration since the elections. The statistics on deportations are very similar to those collected in 2024. Second, the NGO-engineered chaos in cities like Minneapolis has not changed anything. Public opinion is not moving in favor of Marxist leftists. In other words, a small minority of activists are trying to override public policy on immigration and rule the country through insurgency. Third, Americans are not buying into the rhetoric that just because an illegal invader has been in the U.S. illegally for a long time, that means he or she deserves to stay. Just because an illegal invader obeyed the law after sneaking across the border, that does not mean he or she gets de facto citizenship. The law is the law. Finally, the overarching motivation of Americans who want deportations is not simply to reduce crime. As many surveys and polls have shown in the past, the public is also concerned about the economy, price inflation caused by high demand, and tax dollars being devoured by illegal invaders seeking welfare handouts, not to mention millions of American jobs going to foreigners who work for 30% less under the table. Then there is the U.S. Census and the fact that mass immigration affects voting districts in favor of Democrat cities and states. Above all else, there is the agenda to erase Western culture and replace it with multicultural globalist socialism. The root purpose behind mass immigration from the third world is to deconstruct the West. People are waking up to this reality, and they're not going to accept it. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts? Be honest. Okay. Do you think that we should just open our borders to anybody and everybody because it's the nice thing to do? They don't have the things that we're willing to give them, or at least that the Marxists are willing to give them. They don't have that in their home country. So we should just be compassionate and give it to them. I have to ask, if that's the case, why didn't they follow legal processes to become American citizens? What do you think? 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Coming up, we're going to talk facial recognition technology and real ID, its pros and its cons right here on the Global Freedom Report. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Global Freedom Report. We'll be right back.
DOJA, the Department of Government Accountability. This is our citizen-led watchdog task force under American-made action. We're exposing corruption in child welfare, family courts, and unconstitutional federal programs like Title IV-E. The funding that is sifted straight down through the Health and Human Services Agency into the Social Security Administration and directly out to the agencies across 50 states that are responsible for the separation of children and families. And through lawful notices, federal lawsuits, and investigative media, DOJA is holding those rogue officials accountable, demanding transparency and restoring parental rights. We're not waiting for Congress. We're the people taking lawful action now. Visit AmericanMadeAction.org. Hit the Take Action button and join the reckoning.
You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You've got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Never compromise what's right and uphold your family name. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Mark Lerner lives in Kansas City, Missouri. He has been happily married for decades with numerous children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. He is dedicated to providing his progeny with a free country, one in which they do not need to live in fear. Mark graduated from college with a degree in political science, but has learned way more from life than what he was taught in the classroom. After the events of September 11th, 2001, Mark Lerner believed biometrics could be a useful tool in the war on terrorism. He was a confidant of the most senior people in the biometric sector, for example, fingerprinting, facial recognition, and iris scanning in the United States. Today, he no longer sees this technology's benefits to be greater than its potential for abuse. Mark has spent the last 2 decades openly speaking out against the same industry he once supported. He has testified before many state legislatures about biometrics, radio frequency identification, national and international identification cards, and information sharing. In addition, Mark has assisted state legislators in nearly 24 states to write legislation dealing with these technologies. Mark has met with members of Congress, Washington, D.C. senior staff, legal counsel for committees, and others in our federal government. Mark co-founded 2 national organizations, the Constitutional Alliance and Stop Real ID Coalition, both comprised of state lawmakers, state national groups, organizations, and private citizens. Mark also addresses ministries across the country discussing biblical prophecy as it pertains to today's world. Mark has been warning that all people are being enrolled into a global system of identification and financial control. Inquiries about the work Mark has done have come from 48 countries. In August 2010, Mark was awarded the Freedom Heroes Award for his tireless devotion to protecting the rights, liberty, and freedom of all citizens. Mark authored the book, Your Body is Your ID. Mark Lerner is the individual who worked with a Pulitzer Prize-awarded journalist in 2017 to prove the largest biometric provider in the United States made a secret deal with a Russian biometric company to use the Russian company's software coding and algorithm. His focus for over 15 years has been making sure that people who are who they say they are and addressing how to establish an individual's citizenship. Mark worked with a leading identity expert in the United States to develop a solution to what is still a current problem. We are not verifying as the law requires the foundational documents known as breeder documents to establish identity and citizenship. Mark Lerner, I want to welcome you to the Global Freedom Report. How are you, Mark?
Brent, I'm doing fine, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience.
Okay, I'm not hearing Mark. Okay, Mark, talk to me.
Brent, I'm right here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and great. Yes, you sound good. It's great to have you with us and everything. I'm looking forward to our discussion. Let's begin with definitions, okay? In ordinary terms that most people will comprehend. What exactly is facial recognition technology? Where and in what ways is it used?
Facial recognition technology is simply a camera. It can be mounted on a street light, it can be a cell phone camera, any number of different cameras, including a drone. The idea is the camera captures a facial image, your face, just like when they take your picture at a DMV. Your face has measurements. Those measurements between the tip of your nose, maybe your eyes, or the top of your lips. This originally was called the Eigenface facial recognition algorithm. But once it captures your facial image, that's the biometric sample. It then applies the data, the measurements, and becomes a biometric template. The biometric template is stored in biometric databases, and then if there's a match from another sample taken, it's compared to what's in the biometric database. Theoretically, to identify people, but the fact is, biometrics do not identify anyone, and they never have.
Well, and we're going to get into that. But okay, let's take it a step at a time. First off, let's look at the pros and cons. What are the benefits of this technology, and what are the drawbacks or potential problems posed by it?
Okay, I'll be fair and start with the benefits. Let's say you have closed circuit television cameras and they capture a crime in progress. At that point, it could be useful to capture the facial image of one of the subjects of the crime. But that should not be done without a warrant, and that's the key. There's a reason facial recognition technology is the biometric of choice. It can be used without the knowledge or the consent of the public.
Oh my. Okay. All right. Now, how accurate, this goes to something you hinted at a moment ago. How accurate is facial recognition technology in establishing someone's identity?
Okay, when facial recognition technology was first developed in the 90s, only white males were used as test subjects. So the problem became with dark skinned people, Hispanics, blacks, and even many white people, it simply wasn't accurate. The companies did test, but in the words of their own senior employees, the testing was rigged and it was bogus. The testing has gotten better, the technology has gotten better, but it still is far away from being accurate, even with artificial intelligence.
Now, you make that statement, okay, with a surety that it's true. What about the people who are advocating the facial recognition technology? If I was to ask that same question about accuracy, what would they say to me?
They would tell you that facial recognition technology in a one-to-one match, that's what it's called, can be very accurate, up to 90%, even higher. The problem becomes that's not the reality of the way facial recognition is used. It's used, it captures somebody's facial image from a camera, CCTV or otherwise, and then compared to DMV databases or the FBI's next generation database. And there, it is not reliable at all. Courts will not allow facial recognition technology to be used as probable cause. It, in and of itself, does not reach the stage of probable cause.
Okay, let me pause you there. We have a break we have to take. When we get back, I have a story just came by my desk like 20 minutes before the show I want to ask you about. We'll be right back with more on facial recognition technology with Mark Lerner. Stay tuned.
This is where the truth matters. The Global Freedom Report. Don't go away. Brent will return in a moment.
A common law Pure Trust organization is the most powerful asset protection device available. Pure Trusts have been around in the USA since 1790, when Patriot Patrick Henry created the first one. Pure Trusts establish ironclad protection for real property, vehicles, businesses, and just about anything else. A Pure Trust creates a wall of privacy over its assets, reduces personal liability, and protects property from attachment. Freedom Bound International has been creating Pure Trusts for over 35 years, and none of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. Call today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us for information and applications for their Pure Trusts. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
The Answer. Breaking news.
The city of L.A. has filed a cross-complaint asking the state of California to share any potential civil liability tied to the Palisades fire. Here's Sharon Reardon.
The filing submitted Thursday asks the state, its Natural Resources Agency, the Department of Parks and Recreation, and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy to cover part of any damages stemming from lawsuits filed by more than 3,500 fire victims.
Again, that's Sharon Reardon. Larry Marino on The Answer with breaking news and talk you can trust.
If you've been looking for a better way to navigate today's markets, this is your chance. We're hosting a free trading and investing workshop where you'll discover practical rules-based strategies designed to help you minimize risk and maximize opportunity. Whether you're brand new or experienced, this is your chance. Text the word trade to the number 210-210 or go to tradingacademy.com.
Tune in to Investing and Trading Live, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on AM 870, The Answer.
Folks, we're here today interviewing Mr. Uncertainty. How are you today, good sir?
Well, I'm not sure.
What's it like to be so indecisive?
It has its ups and downs, just like the market. I used to be a cliche, but after decades of hard work, now everyone realizes my effect on the markets.
Indeed. So can you tell us how the markets will survive?
There's no telling, but one thing is for certain.
And what is that?
I'm uncertain.
Excuse me, Mr. Uncertainty. I've got good news for you. I'm Arif Halaby, CEO of TFS Financial Insurance Services, and we provide certainty for folks by providing them with a strategy for reliable retirement income.
Folks, if you'd like to remove uncertainty from your retirement and learn about reliable retirement income, tune into the Total Financial Hour with host Arif Halaby Sundays at 11 a.m. on AM 870, The Answer. The Total Financial Hour Sundays at 11 a.m. or call Arif today at 888-99-RETIRE.
We get it. You're busy. You don't have time to waste on the mainstream media. That's why Salem News Channel is here. We have hosts worth watching, actually discussing the topics that matter. Andrew Wilkow, Dinesh D'Souza, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. We're not like the other guys. We're Salem News Channel. Watch anytime on any screen for free 24/7 at snc.tv and on Local Now, Channel 525. Alex Marlowe can't find many moderates.
The Virginia Senate just reported that they passed a vote out of committee 9-5. Legislation aimed toward banning firearms with Democrats refer to as an assault firearm. Their definition now of assault firearm is basic stuff, and that's in a moderate part of the country. So just remember, other than John Fetterman, as far as I can tell, there are no moderate Democrats. They don't exist.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Weekdays at 9, and take Alex with you everywhere with the AM 870 The Answer app. AM 870, The Answer. Tell your friends, we are Southern California's news and talk station they can really trust.
This is Alistair Phillips, fighting for the truth about the safety of cell phones, and you are listening to the Global Freedom Report.
Is freedom so important?
Yes. Yes. She was born free and she has the right to live free. Why don't we live in some nice, comfortable city? Other people do. But we've chosen to live out here because it represents freedom for us, because we can breathe.
That's
here.
because we're fit for it.
Well, so can she be. She can.
She'll be safe in the zoo.
Yes, safe. And fat and lazy and dull and stupid like some cow in a milking machine.
Even if she should be able to go wild, which I very much doubt, that'll be the end. You'd never see her again.
Then at least she'd be free. At least she wouldn't be in a cage for the rest of her life.
9/11, 9/11, what went down, we built it safer. Ever since that fateful day, our civil rights have disappeared. A global fascist state draws near, and our freedom slips away.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. My guest is Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance. I just had this story come by my desk like 20 minutes before airtime, and I wanted to ask your opinion on it. According to Ars Technica, a woman alleged in a federal court complaint that a Border Patrol agent addressed, now this is a quote, addressed me by name and informed me that they had facial recognition and that his body cam was recording. He told her she was impeding their work and gave her a verbal warning. Now, that was not the end of it. 3 days later, she says, she was informed that her membership in the TSA PreCheck and Global Entry Trusted Traveler programs had been revoked. No warning, no anything, just happened. Would you care to offer your perspective on that?
Yes. First of all, whether it's ICE or your local police or anybody else, there's an app. It's called Mobile Fortify. Mobile Fortify.
Yes,
and
that's what that was mentioned. Yeah, that's exactly what was mentioned in the story.
That app allows a police officer using a smartphone or even their body camera to capture the person's digital facial image and then compare it to a multitude of databases. But there's a problem here, Brent. When you take your birth certificate in to get your driver's license, you assume that birth certificate is verified. That's what the law calls for. And we can get into the technical aspect of the law. But before you're issued that license, the law is clear. That birth certificate must be verified, or other what we call breeder document, which is a foundational document to establish identity and citizenship, is supposed to be verified before the license is issued. The fact is, none of them are. You think they are because you know you're you and you're giving your birth certificate to your DMV. No DMV is able to verify all birth certificates or other breeder documents because the federal government is not enforcing the law, which is why many times people get wrongly identified. Biometrics do not identify people. Your birth certificate identifies you, but it must be compared to make sure you don't have licenses in other states.
So, so you don't seem surprised to hear what happened to this woman.
No, it's happening every day. And when people are wrongly detained or arrested, most often what happens is they get an attorney, the attorney sues the offending police department, and there's a settlement made with a non disclosure agreement. But I want to say this: the Constitutional Alliance supports law enforcement. There are over 30 million traffic stops every year. We may hear about the 10 or 20 that are bad. Far and away, most people in law enforcement are good, honest, hardworking people, but the culture is corrupt.
Well, you raise excellent points here. Well, okay, let's tackle another related issue on the whole technology. The Real ID Act established a standardized form of identification that is commonly used on driver's licenses. There are efforts to require real ID for air travel, international travel, and in numerous other aspects of life. What exactly is real ID, and what potential for abuse is inherent in this use of the technology?
Okay, the Real ID Act was signed into law in 2005. The same person who authored the Patriot Act, Congressman Sensenbrenner, authored the Real ID Act. If you go to page 68, footnote 17 of the Notice of Proposed Rulemaking issued in 2007 for the Real ID Act, the footnote says the digital facial image shall be in accordance with ICAO standard and ISO standard 19794-5. All documents from all over the world that contain a photo now meet that same standard. So, in the way you might be able to be identified, but you're not really identified, in Paris, France, you could be identified in Paris, Texas. We have agreements with countries all over the world, including Interpol, to share the biometrics of U.S. citizens.
Well, if someone doesn't want to carry a real ID document, what alternatives exist? Can you travel by air without a real ID document? And what about international travel?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, here's the thing. You can walk into an airport today with no ID, pay $45. They'll put you through what they call a secondary inspection and ask you a lot of questions. Where did you live previously? Who did you work for? Name your spouse, etc. With no ID, you'll get on that plane. But here's the problem. People are being told by some other people or groups a non-real ID compliant license is better than real ID compliant. And I'm telling you right now, that's a distinction without a difference. The real ID and non-real ID compliant license data are all put in the same database, and the biometrics are for both non-real ID and real ID licenses. So there's really no substantial difference, a difference of value between non-compliant and real ID compliant licenses. The key is the breeder documents, i.e. birth certificates, are not being verified. We have no idea if people are who they say they are or their citizenship. I've contacted the Trump administration. I honor confidentiality, so I won't tell you who I've been speaking with. I've contacted media outlets. People are shocked to know we're not verifying breeder documents. We have no idea how many people are in this country illegally, how many people vote illegally, because we don't verify breeder documents.
Wow. Well, we have a call with a question right on point here. Linda from Burbank has a question. about wanting to use a passport instead of real ID at airports. Linda, welcome to the show. You're on the air with Mark Lerner.
Yeah, that is my question. Can I still use my passport instead of getting real ID?
A passport is one of several federally issued acceptable documents that
like
can
you
be
said, it said
used
$45.
instead of a real ID license.
Well, wait, you were talking over each other. Linda was also asking if she uses her passport, does she still have to pay this extra $45? I don't think so.
No, not at all. That's for people who don't have an acceptable form of identification.
Does that help you out, Linda?
So I can still use my passport instead of getting real ID and not have to pay anything.
Yes.
And
as
Linda,
long as
just so
your
you know,
passport is still valid.
and Linda, just so you know,
I can't make
that's
out
how.
what
That's.
he's saying. Can you tell me?
Say that again, Linda.
Can you tell me what he's saying?
Linda,
yeah,
what was that?
Can you tell me what he's
your
saying?
Passport is current.
Oh. So I can still use
He said,
my passport
as long as the
of real ID or pay the extra $45.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that is what he's saying. Absolutely. Hang on, Mark.
Okay.
Linda. Okay, just so you know, Linda.
Yeah.
Just so you know, okay, I travel with my passport all the time. That's what I use. I do not have a real ID license or anything of that sort. So I can tell you from firsthand experience, yes, you can do that.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Thank you.
Well,
You're very welcome.
Before everybody gets too excited about being able to use a passport, we have an agreement now done by executive order in the federal government. All biometric databases, State Department, Department of Defense, Homeland Security, FBI's Next Generation Identification Database, all those databases share the biometric data and images that each other has. It's also available to state law enforcement through fusion centers and through what's called the International Justice and Public Information Sharing System.
All right, I got to put a pause over there. Hang on, Mark. Linda, thank you so much for the call. God bless you. We'll be right back with more on this technology. Stay tuned.
From coast to coast and around the world, this is the Global Freedom Report, and we'll be back in a minute.
Freedom Bound International is a common law service center specializing in asset protection. For more than 35 years, they've helped people free themselves from government control. Their common law pure trust organization successfully protects property from confiscation, claims, liens, and judgments. None of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. The Private Interest Foundation holds assets internationally, distributes funds privately, and does so anonymously. Their stealth LLCs let you set up banking as privately as possible. They offer books, CDs, DVDs, and a variety of products and services designed to teach you how to live free from Big Brother. Call them today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
Suppose he produces one of those cautious wait-and-see reports.
Well, in that case, we don't publish it. We use the American report instead.
You mean we suppress it?
Certainly not. We just don't publish it.
What's the difference?
All the difference in the world. Suppression is the instrument of totalitarian dictatorships. We don't do that sort of thing in a free country. We simply take a democratic decision not to publish it. There is a well-established government procedure for deciding not to publish reports. You simply discredit them. Stage one, you give your reasons in terms of the public interest. You hint at security considerations. You point out that the report could be used to put unwelcome pressure on government because it might be misinterpreted. You say it'd be better to wait for a wider and more detailed study over a longer time scale. Better still, you commission one. Gives you even more time to play with. Now, in stage two, you go on to discredit the evidence that you're not publishing. You do it by press leaks, of course, not directly. You say it leaves some important questions unanswered, that much of the evidence is inconclusive, that the figures are open to other interpretations, that certain findings are contradictory, and that some of the main conclusions have been questioned.
Suppose they haven't.
Then question them. Then they have. You say all these things without reading it. There's always some questions unanswered. Now, in stage three, you undermine recommendations. Not really a basis for long-term decisions, not sufficient information on which to base a valid assessment, not really any need for a fundamental rethink of existing policies, broadly speaking, endorses current practice, all that sort of thing. It's easy. In stage four, you discredit the man who produced the report, off the record, of course. You say that he's harboring a grudge against the government, or that he's a publicity seeker, or, better still, that he used to be a consultant to a multinational company. Or he's trying for a knighthood, or a chair, or a vice-chancellorship. Really, Minister, there are endless possibilities.
Now fight the fight for liberty once more. And I believe if right is right, it's still worth fighting for. Freedom, family, and faith. Freedom, family, and faith.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. If you would like to speak with my guest, Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance, the toll-free number is 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. And Mark, before we continue here, I just would like to ask you, because we have a lot to talk about, would you be willing to stay on into hour number 2?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Excellent. Very, very good. Okay, super. So, okay. Next question I have efforts to repeal the Real ID Act, how have those efforts been going? Are individual states able to reject Real ID within their borders?
Sure. At any point, a state can withdraw. Every 3 years by law, a state is supposed to be checked to make sure, in other words, recertified as being Real ID compliant. People are told if you're against Real ID, you're supporting terrorists, you're supporting criminals, you don't want people's information shared. My point is simply this. When you're outside using biometrics, people know where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, what your mode of transportation is. Inside your house, we're moving to smart devices. Smart devices allow keystroke technology, people to know what you're typing on your computer. They allow for your television to actually capture what's going on in the home. Your television has a camera in it. So as we move away from analog to smart devices, government can know everything we're doing inside and outside our home using biometrics.
Well, that actually answers my next question that I haven't asked yet, which is what is the impact on individual liberty and privacy? And I think you've said that very well. But let me go back to this question. What about any legal efforts? Are there cases out there, anything going on in the legal venue to challenge Real ID, perhaps even on the basis of the fact that it's such an intrusion into personal privacy and individual liberty? What's going on in the legal forum on this issue?
Okay. Congressman Massey has legislation to repeal Real ID. Senator Rand Paul supports it. Different states, Maine, Oklahoma has the best legislation right now. State Senator Sakieri filed a lawsuit to forbid Oklahoma from participating in AMVA's S2S, which is a sharing system both with states, the federal government, and international entities.
So, okay, so you're saying Oklahoma is working on that? I mean, it has not passed yet, or
It's in
let me get clear on it.
session.
It's in
Yes.
session. Okay.
Oklahoma this session has a bill to withdraw from Real ID.
Do you have any idea what the prognosis is for that bill? Any idea what the
Yeah, leadership will never allow it. Just like leadership in Congress will never allow it. Here's the point. Here's the real bottom line. Whether you're a Christian or not, Christians, because of the Book of Revelation,
Okay, hang on, Mark.
16
Okay,
through 18.
wait, repeat
This is
yourself.
a global
Your
system
voice went
of what
underwater
they
a little
call
bit. So
ID
please just
and
repeat what you were about to
financial
say.
control. Yes. Okay. The Book of Revelation, chapter. Okay.
Okay, we're having a little bit of technical problems going on here. Just when you're about to say something really important. Okay, Mark, can you hear me?
Joined by top financial
Revelation
experts, the info
Okay.
you need to grow your financial assets.
I want to
Okay.
be responsible, have insurance to protect my family and I, and expect the insurance company to work on our behalf. My friend Dan Johnson over at Berglund and Johnson,
Travis.
Wrongful death cases like the ones that Berglund Johnson handles. And they realized that insurance companies were not in business to be fair. They're in business to make money, to try to settle cases as cheaply as possible. And they don't really care whether it's going to take care of the person for life, take care of the damages that their family has suffered. They want only one thing, just increase the bottom line. Berglund Johnson fights that type of mentality of insurance companies.
Would you get Mark back, please?
This is Alex Marlowe. Tune in Wednesday, March 11th, 4 to 6 p.m., and join me for the 19th Annual Wealth Summit, presented live right here on AM 870, The Answer. I'll be joined by top financial experts with the info you need to grow your financial assets and protect your family's wealth in today's economy. That's March 11th, 4 to 6 p.m. It's AM 870's Wealth Summit live right here on AM 870, The Answer, sponsored by Reagan Gold Group, celebrating America 250.
Okay. They shouldn't be running commercial quite yet. They should be putting me back on, but I don't know if they're doing that.
There you go.
All right. So, all right. I think we are back on the air here. Okay, Mark, I want you to stay with me. Okay, we're coming up to the top of the hour. Okay, so we're going to have a couple of minutes break, and then we will come back and continue the discussion. If you'd like to speak with my guest, Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance, give us a call toll free at 866-870-KRLA, 870-5752. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes with hour number 2 of the Global Freedom Report. Stay tuned.
More about freedom and your phone calls right after this.
Okay, Travis.
AM 870. The
Travis.
answer is the place for everyone's opinion.
Travis. Can you bring the audio down a lot? I'm having it blaring in my ear from KRLA.
But the advisor wasn't looking out for you.
Now,
Sound familiar?
okay.
Hi, I'm Elliot Rosenberger, an attorney with Stop Your Steal, and
Okay.
a client of ours.
That's
Our
fine.
retirement portfolio was shredded by a wealth advisor.
After I realized my money was gone, I was traumatized. I couldn't believe I was a victim. I heard an ad to
Okay.
Stop Your Steal.
Do you
I
have
gave
any
a call.
idea what
You
just
are right
happened?
and fought for me.
We went after the advisor, held his feet to the fire, and maximized Anne's recovery.
Okay.
Are you losing money
All right.
and don't know why? Could it be that your broker sold you unsuitable investments or put their own commission interests ahead of yours? Go to stopyoursteal.com or call 888-358-4547. Investment fraud attorneys Rosenberger, Kawabata, Satnick, and Lau. We hold bad brokers accountable. Stopyoursteal.com. Stopyoursteal.com.
Rosenberger and Kawabata, 475 Washington Boulevard, Marina Del Rey, California, 90292.
Celebrate the month of love with Zero Res. Your carpet is one of the biggest investments in your home. It's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their pre-Valentine's Day sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $139. Book online at ZeroResSocal.com and say you want the 8:70 a.m. The Answer special.
She's unafraid and unapologetic. She's Laura Trump, and she's shaking things up on the Right View podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
We're now in a midterm election year, and the Democrats, I think, are panicking. They have very little to run on. The faces of their party now are socialists. Democrats, I think, are probably looking at Tim Walz and they're like, we don't need the distraction of another failed Democrat.
Subscribe to the Right View podcast with Laura Trump on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. AM 870, The Answer. Find us at AM870theanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv.
With SRN News, I'm Mary Rose. President Trump throws his support behind the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act.
Posting on Truth Social, President Trump writes, quote, America's elections are rigged, stolen, and a laughingstock all over the world. We're either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. He called on Republicans to fight for the Save America Act. He continued, quote, all voters must show voter ID identification. All voters must show proof of United States citizenship to register for voting. President Trump concluded by posting that there should be, quote, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. John Scott reporting.
The investigation into the apparent kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, continues. Authorities believe she was taken last weekend. This is SRN News.
In today's fast-paced world, professionals face endless projects, deadlines, competition. To thrive, you need mental clarity, sharp focus, and reliable memory. That's why the same company that brings you Relief Factor created Think Factor. Think Factor is designed to help you think clearer and perform better daily. It's a powerful blend of nutrients that supercharges your memory and sharpens your focus. You can stay on top of your work and outshine the competition. After a couple of weeks of taking Think Factor, I noticed a dramatic difference in my clarity, my focus, even my memory. And you know what? The longer you take Think Factor, the better the results are. If you've ever felt mentally foggy or struggled to keep up with everything on your plate, well, Think Factor can help you reclaim your cognitive edge and thrive in your life. Call 800-4RELIEF, 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com to order Think Factor. Call 800-4RELIEF or visit relieffactor.com. Your first bottle, just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily.
Jen here with Henry Vogel with Presto Logistics. Henry, do you have a tip about moving?
Sure do. People tend to underestimate how long it takes to pack their belongings, so make sure to start early, label everything as best you can, and use heavy-duty packing supplies for added safety.
Sounds like you're committed to making moving stress-free.
Sure are. We can even be your concierge for packing if you're not up for it. We can arrange estate sales. We also offer auto transport services. If you want to make your move a mini vacation, we'll keep your belongings safe in our climate-controlled warehouse. We've helped thousands move across town and across the country.
Folks, Presto Logistics is fully licensed, bonded, and insured with a 5-star Google rating, and their trained expert movers are fully background checked. Learn more at prestomoving.com, then call them at 818-349-4000, 818-349-4000.
And I'll personally come out to your home and give you a free binding quote for your move and a 10% discount.
Presto Logistics, 818-349-4000, or visit prestomoving.com.
Gil Ascarati here, host of Real Estate Radio LA, saving the American dream one show at a time every Saturday at 2 p.m. I break down the real estate industry, the good, the bad, and the ugly, tackling tough questions like, is your real estate agent overpaid? Should you use a discount broker? Who's paying the commission? Or maybe flipping your own home? Join me, Gil Ascarati of Pinnacle Estate Properties, every Saturday at 2 p.m. right here on the great AM 870, The Answer.
AM 870, The Answer. It's time to stop the disagreements and come together. AM 870, The Answer is everywhere on the air in SoCal at AM 870 on your AM 870 smartphone. At the advantage of modern technology. And now on Amazon and Google Home speakers. Just ask for AM 870, The Answer.
Are you listening?
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Global Freedom Report. If you just joined us, we are talking about facial recognition technology, the pros, the cons, the pluses, the minuses, what works and what doesn't work. My guest is Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance. If you would like to be part of the show, if you have any questions or comments, you can call us right now, toll free at 866-870-KRLA. That number again, 866-870-5752 to go on the air live. Welcome back, Mark Lerner. Thank you for staying over with us here on the Global Freedom Report. Now, anybody who has followed me, anybody who has followed me over the years that I've been doing the work that I do, knows that I am very big on seeking solutions rather than just discussing problems. Everybody out there is talking about all the problems. The entire world is going to collapse. What is the crisis du jour? What is happening today that's going to destroy all our lives? Okay, it's impossible to avoid that. But what I look for is not just to identify the problems. I want to know what we do about it. What solutions do you see to the problems created by facial recognition technology, Real ID, and those types of technologies? How may we go about identifying people without infringing on their freedoms?
It's actually very simple. I worked with the leading identity expert in our country to develop a solution to verify birth certificates and other acceptable breeder documents. If you get a license in Arkansas, people in Oklahoma will know you have one, so you can't go to Oklahoma and get another one. If you try to get one, somebody takes your birth certificate, they wouldn't be able to use it. We developed a foolproof solution, which we want to make available to President Trump. I talked to one of his ambassadors, one of his cabinet members. Voter ID laws are useless if we can't make sure people are who they say they are. So, for your audience, this is the first time we've ever put this out there. We have 2 things they must do. First, though, grab a pencil, pen, and a piece of paper, something you can write on. And we're going to tell you 2 steps that every one of your listeners can do if you want to solve immigration, voter ID.
We lost him again. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get him back. Okay. Uh, uh, Technology is just falling apart. All around us, technology is falling apart. I do not know what to do about that, but we will continue here. Okay. And we will get back our guest as quick as possible. 866-870-5752 is the toll-free number. 866-870-KRLA. Okay. So since we have a couple of minutes while we're working to get back our guest, I do want to mention to you that my new book, The Hard Truth, is now officially available. Oh God, what is this sound I'm hearing? Okay, what is going through? I don't know what that sound is. Okay, okay. What I'm saying, my new book, The Hard Truth, is now officially available. You can now get it through Freedom Bound International if you go to the Freedom Bound International website at www.freedomradio.us. Look under products, look under books. You will see The Hard Truth. It is now available. It is all about the principle that there are many truths out there. There's your truth, which you've established over your years of life. There's my truth, which I've established over my years of life. And then there is his truth, God's truth, the objective truth, the universal truth. That's what the book is all about. It's called The Hard Truth because when you get to this level of truth, you have to let go of all kinds of other stuff that may be going on in your life. We'll talk more about that a little later on. We are now back. Okay, we now have Mark Lerner back. Okay, that is excellent, Mark. Okay, I don't know what we're encountering here, but I'm glad we have you back. You were talking. Yeah, do you remember where you were at in that conversation?
Yes,
You were talking about the solutions.
I want people to call area code 202-456-7041. 7041. That's 202-456-7041. That's the White House switchboard. Tell them you want to leave a message for Chief of Staff Wiles. She should contact the Constitutional Alliance through our website, constitutionalalliance.org. Constitutionalalliance.org. That'll put her in touch with Steve Meyer, our executive director, and we will tell the White House how you make sure people are who they say they are. Now,
okay.
step
Now,
two.
wait. Hold on to step two. I want to repeat that to make sure everybody has it. Okay. The phone number in Washington, keep in mind it's Eastern time zone, 202-456-7041. 202-456-7041. You want to speak with Chief of Staff Wiles. You probably won't speak with him, but you'll speak with somebody in his office. Chief of Staff Wiles, and have him contact the Constitutional Alliance, all one word, .org. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, Susie Wiles is a female, so don't ask for him, ask for her. Now, step two. I want you to take down this email address, Abby, A-B-B-Y, .phillip, P-H-I-L-L-I-P, at CNN.com. Abby, A-B-B-Y, .phillip, P-H-I-L-L-I-P, at CNN.com. and simply send her a message. Facial recognition does not identify anyone. Contact constitutionalalliance.org. And for your listeners, once you do those two things, go to constitutionalalliance.org and read our last 3 articles. You'll understand everything we're talking about today.
Okay. Now, again, just to make sure everybody got the info, okay, write it down. Abby, ABBY dot Phillip, PHILLIP at CNN.com. Okay. And anybody in particular at CNN?
Abby Phillip has the 9 o'clock Central Time. She has both Republicans and Democrats on her show. So if she asks the question to her guest, how do you know people are who they say they are? She's going to get told through SOLVE, Social Security Online Verification, and the SAVE app. Neither one of those identify anybody. They simply verify a name matches a social security number. It doesn't verify people are who they say they are. And if you go online, use your search engine, start page, whatever, and look at SOLVE, SSOLV, or SAVE. Both those programs rely on the social. They are not to be used to identify people. So, if you call your state lawmaker.
Okay. Now, one more question. One more question. Okay. Mark, okay. I have another question before we run out of time. We have a lot of Christians in our. Okay. All right. I don't know if he's. Yeah, we lost him again. Okay. I think we're just gonna have to do without him. Okay. Mark Lerner, I really thank you for taking the time. You got a lot of good information out. I'm sorry that you had so many bad connections in there. There is not a whole lot I can do about that. I do want to make sure you all know how to get in touch with Mr. Lerner. Okay, the website is constitutionalalliance.org. Constitutionalalliance.org. Please contact them, check out what they do. Through that website, you should be able to contact Mark Lerner directly, constitutionalalliance.org. Right here. We will continue with the Global Freedom Report. Right here, we have 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752, if you'd like to be on the air. Okay, again, I am, yeah, okay. If you want to put him on, that's fine, but we're just about out of time, just time enough to say goodbye. Go on, put him back on, and that'll be fine. Mark, are you there? Mark, are you there? Okay. I don't see him there. Okay, let me give you the toll-free number if you would like to get on board. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That's the toll-free number if you want to get on board. We still have a lot to talk about on the rest of the show. We've got Lessons in Liberty coming up. We've got Propaganda 101. Okay, I still have the question out there as to whether or not you think we should continue spending all kinds of taxpayer dollars on supporting 800 military bases around the world. Right now, we're going to take a break. We will be back with more of the Global Freedom Report. Stay tuned.
Don't go away. There's a lot more of the Global Freedom Report when we come back.
Are you ready to awaken to the truth?
Okay.
Birthright, Born Free.
Okay.
Born Free is the award-winning documentary shaking audiences across America. And now you can host a screening in your community, either in person or virtually. Visit birthrightthemovie.com and select Host a Screening. Hosts can sell tickets and keep a portion of the proceeds or purchase a license to offer a free event. Birthright, because freedom isn't free and silence is surrender.
This is Todd Lumpkin, co-creator of the American Dream film, fighting the lying liars one stupid lie at a time. And you're doing your part by listening to the Global Freedom Report.
They have used the Commerce Clause to justify regulation of private human behavior. Why? Because they like to exercise power.
I was born in a welfare state, ruled by bureaucracy, controlled by civil servants and people dressed in grey. Got no privacy, got no liberty, 'cause the 20th century people took it all away from me.
Brent Johnson. If you'd like to be part of the show, the toll-free number is 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Our question for the week: do you think it is time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? You know, I am reminded of the farewell address by our first president, George Washington. And in it, he said very clearly, we should have no entangling alliances, none at all. Okay, we should be neutral with respect to the rest of the world and have everybody be enemies in war, in peace, friends. Period. Okay. And his argument, which is very, very powerful, was that if you have alliances, you will tend to make decisions giving them the benefit of the doubt. If you have people who are not allies, you will tend to make decisions not giving them the benefit of the doubt. In other words, you will be prejudiced in how you deal with other countries based upon whether they are allies or not allies. That was Washington's admonition. So we should have no entangling alliances. America should be for America and Americans. Yes, you may call me isolationist. I think that's a great idea. Okay, I think our culture, our system should be ours, and you can agree with it, disagree with it, like it or not like it, but it's ours. This garbage about homogenizing every country into one global system is a tactic. It is a recipe for absolute dictatorial control of the world. And I don't care what perceived benefits may come of it. So I go back to George Washington's farewell speech. By the way, you would do well, all of you, to check it out and read it. It's a bit of a long read. It's a long speech, but it's absolutely brilliant if we had only paid attention. Do you think it is time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? Okay, with all the drop-offs and technological problems that have been happening on the show today, I just want to say that, again, if you want to get in touch with Mark Lerner of the Constitutional Alliance, you go to constitutionalalliance.org, constitutionalalliance.org, to get in touch, and you should be able to make contact with him over there. All right, We've got Gene calling in from Glendale. Gene, welcome to the show. You are on the air. How are you?
Mr. Brent Johnson, thank you. Not Gene, just the letter G. Another great show. Riverdale checking in, Northeast Bronx, baby. Listen, I got infinity things to say, but today I'm going to keep it real simple. Does the name Mr. Brent Johnson, Pat Summerall, mean anything to you?
Oh, yes. Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Okay, do you know who any of Pat Summerall's children are or no?
No, that I wouldn't know, but you can tell me. But by the way, Gene,
Okay,
the reason
Pat
I said
Summerall,
Gene,
at least one of his children is named Susie Wiles. She is the chief of staff of the President Donald Trump.
really?
Just to let you know, she's kind of
really? No,
ever since.
I
Go ahead.
didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
double
that
check.
Susie Wiles.
You double check. Don't take what I'm telling you as fact. You double check it. But that's a lot of people do not know that. It kind of flew under the radar. And ever since about 2 months ago, Susie Wiles kind of came out and disparaged a few people. I'm not saying they didn't deserve it, but in the cabinet, and she got kind of put on the back burner just like Tulsi Gabbard did. But yeah, she's Pat Summerall's thing. In fact, she helped them overcome alcoholism and all that. Just wanted you to know. But don't take the kid's word for it. You double check. Another great show. Hopefully catch you next week, sir. Thank you. God bless. Be safe.
And yeah, and Gene, stay with me a second. When you call in, make sure they know it's G as opposed to Gene, because whoever you spoke to when you called in,
you got a great call screener there. He's a great professional young man and polite and everything, unlike a lot of call screeners. All right, sir. Take care.
You take care too. God bless, Gene. Take it easy. All right, 866-870-KRLA and gold stars out to the screener. Fantastic. I love that. You're carrying on my own character. I always look to be respectful and appropriate and treat my guests as guests and treat my callers as guests. And obviously, you are carrying that on as well. So my hat's off to you with gold stars coming from Brent Johnson. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. So I want to just tell you a little bit about my new book. Okay, I mentioned it a little bit before, but my book it's called The Hard Truth, and it's all about the premise that we could solve all the problems in the world if we would stop getting so attached to my truth or your truth. We have different truths, and so we can never get that resolved. How do you get it resolved? By recognizing that there is a higher truth. You can call it God's truth, you can call it the objective truth, but I believe there is a capital T truth out there. If you want to get a copy of the book, just so you know, it's $22 for the book, plus shipping and handling, and we have a limited number of hardcover on the book. If you want a hardcover, it's $35 for the hardcover version. Okay, and I believe you have to check on the website, but I'm pretty sure that the shipping and handling is $13 for either one, because shipping has just gotten really crazy. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. But get a copy of it. And like I said, if you want to get the hardcover, it is very, very limited edition, and I will sign the hardcover. Okay, so if you get a hardcover, I'll actually put my autograph on it for you and then send it out to you. More information, go to freedomradio.us, freedomradio.us, or you can call off the air at 888-385-3733, 888-385-3733. Again, I am sorry for the technical difficulties that we had, Mark Lerner, but thank you so much for being with us. I know that we've got a lot of information from you. And by the way, this show will be archived at globalfreedomreport.us. So if you missed any part of it, we're going to try and clean up some of, Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Global Freedom Report.
A common law pure trust organization is the most powerful asset protection device available. Pure trusts have been around in the USA since 1790 when Patriot Patrick Henry.
What caused me to drop?
Pure trusts established ironclad protection for real property, vehicles, businesses, and just about anything else. A pure trust creates a wall of privacy over its assets, reduces personal liability, and protects property from attachment. Freedom Bound International has been creating pure trusts for over 35 years, and none of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. Call today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us for information and applications for their pure trusts. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
The Answer. Breaking news.
A video shows a teacher throwing her shoe at a 5-year-old student with autism in January. It was caught on security camera inside a school in the 4900 block of West 104th Street. It shows one of several adults in the room looking at the child before taking off her shoe and throwing it at the student. The school's director said none of the adults reported the incident, and they all have been fired. Larry Marino on The Answer with breaking news and talk you can trust.
I'm talking with investment fraud attorney Adam Satnick. We've all lost money in the market, but could losing a lot of money signal fraud?
Yes, Dave. People are victims of financial misconduct all the time, but they don't realize it. It's often a matter of simply looking at brokerage account statements and what investments a broker has put their money into. We find that sometimes the broker has invested without their knowledge or permission. People have lost a bunch of their money and had no idea why. We hold their brokers accountable. We hold their feet to the fire.
If you're losing money and don't know why, could it be that your brokers told you unsuitable investments or put their own commission interests ahead of yours? Go to stopyoursteal.com. Stopyoursteal.com. Call 888-358-4547. 888-358-4547.
Investment fraud attorneys Rosenberger, Kawabata, Satnick, and Lau. We hold bad brokers accountable.
Stopyoursteal.com. Rosenberger and Kawabata, 475 Washington Boulevard, Marina Del Rey, California, 90292.
Hey guys, it's Jennifer Horn. Quick question. Have your drains been acting weird lately?
You mean things like slow drains, bubbling toilets, or that mysterious gurgling sound after you flush?
That's it. It's like the house is talking. Hey, I'm with Alex Sr. and Alex Jr. from CSA Plumbing and Router. So what do those sounds tell you?
That's usually your sewer line giving you a warning before it becomes a real problem.
A small clog today turns into a big, expensive mess tomorrow.
That's right. At CSA Plumbing and Router, we don't just clear the problem, we found out why it's happening.
We do a sewer camera inspection to check for roots, cracks, blockages, so there's no guessing.
And these guys are great because when you call CSA Plumbing, Alex Sr. answers the phone personally, day or night.
I love taking care of my customers.
You absolutely do. So if your home is talking to you, call CSA Plumbing and Router, 818-674-0155. Alex and Alex will take good care of you. 818-674-0155.
Severe numbness, tingling, a burning sensation in your feet and hands, or weakness that can take away your ability to walk or even use your arms. It's a nerve issue, neuropathy.
The numbness could become so severe that the patients don't feel where their legs are, so when they walk, they tend to fall because of the lack of sensation.
That's Dr. Shulian, the Nerve MD, who treats and relieves neuropathy, especially severe neuropathy. Call 877-88-NERVE. PPO and regular Medicare accepted. Get relief. Call 877-88-NERVE.
The Morning Answer with Jennifer Horn.
Mike in Hollywood. Hey, Mike, good morning. Long time no talk.
What I have is reverse ISDAR, D-A-R.
ISDAR, okay.
I can't tell who's ice. I can't tell. But you know what I can tell, Jen?
What?
I can tell who's not. It's useless.
But it's kind of a nice power, I guess.
The Morning Answer with Jennifer Horn. Weekdays starting at 6 a.m. on AM 870, The Answer. AM 870, The Answer is the place for everyone's opinion. AM 870, The Answer.
This is Elo Jones at FIJA, reminding you that jurors cannot be required to check their conscience at the door. This is the Global Freedom Report.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. If you'd like to be part of the show, the toll-free number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. The question of the week, do you think it is time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? Now, it is time for this week's edition of Lessons in Liberty. Now, before I get into this, I want to tell you, number one, I'm not an attorney and I'm not looking to give you any kind of legal advice. I am, however, going to explain to you my understanding of common law liens and how they can be used. Now, what I want you to know is that this information is for you to use properly and righteously. You do not use this information to commit fraud or anything like that, because that could land you in prison. Now, let's start off. A lien, any lien, is a legal device designed to secure a claim against property. Okay, you have some kind of a grievance, you go to court, okay, you sue somebody, you get an award. Okay, once you have the award, you ask the court to authorize you to put a lien on that party's property. You put a lien on the property. That means that the lien guarantees that that property cannot be transferred to anybody else unless it is satisfied. That's what a lien is, and that's what a lien does. Now, a lien is either a commercial lien or a common law lien. There are various types of liens, but they all fall into one or the other of those definitions. A commercial lien is a lien that is levied against property over which someone other than the liener has lawful possession. Such a lien generally requires a court order, unless the lienee, the one against whom the lien is recorded, unless the lienee agrees to the lien. I'll give you an example. When you hire a construction company to build a house, a standard in the agreement, in the contract, is that you are granting the construction company a lien on the property. That is a commercial lien. It's called a mechanics lien. And that type of lien doesn't require a court order, because you, in agreeing to have the construction company build your house, have also agreed in that contract to grant the construction company a lien. That assures the construction company that you cannot get full title to that property if you don't pay them. That's how they guarantee that they get paid. So that's an example of the lienee agreeing in advance that the lien can be recorded against him or her or them. So that's what a commercial lien is. Now, a common law lien is levied against property over which the liener has lawful possession. It does not require a court order in most cases. The idea is, okay, I got a piece of property. It's my property, and I have spent years building up the property and put my essence into it. Okay, I have laughed, I have cried, I have sweated, I have strained. That property owes me. And a common law lien is a method of securing what that property owns me. Okay, now all liens of any kind freeze title. When a lien is recorded, then that lien will prevent the ownership of that piece of property from being transferred to any other party. the lien always freezes title. That's how a lien works. Now, liens are paid based upon the character of the lien. It's not a chronological thing. It's not like, well, this lien was put on first and then that lien was second. That's not how they determine the order in which liens are paid. They determine the order in which liens are paid based on the character of a lien. For example, the mechanic's lien, the guy who built the house, gets paid first. Always. The common law lien gets paid second. Then all other commercial liens get paid. Now, some interesting tidbits here. A mortgage is not a lien. A mortgage is actually what's called chattel, chattel. It is an attachment, okay, and because it's not an actual lien, most mortgages do not prevent you from transferring the property into, for example, maybe you want to put it into a common law trust or something. You can do that, but you have to continue to honor the terms of the mortgage agreement. If you breach the mortgage agreement, the mortgagor, regardless of who holds the ownership in the public record, the mortgagor can come back and claw back that property and take it back, because you cannot use the transfer of property to breach the existing mortgage agreement. That's a form of constructive fraud or fraud, and that can get you in a lot of trouble. Never commit fraud. Okay. That's what lands people in jail. Okay. Now, an IRS notice of lien is actually not a lien. It's a notice. And there is a county in Washington state. I forget the name of the county. I think, don't quote me on it, but I think it may have been called something like Parker County, but I'm not sure. But there was an incident many, many years ago where somebody took legal action against the recorder because an IRS notice of lien had been recorded against that person, and the notice of lien is not actually a lien, it's a notice. But the recorder, as most recorders do, recorded it as a lien, and that froze title. So somebody took legal action against the recorder, and by the end of the action, the recorder stopped listing IRS notices of liens as liens and put it into the category of notices, not liens. Okay. As far as I know, that's the only county in the country that that's happened, and it could have happened elsewhere. I don't know. But the point being that liens are paid in a particular order by character. Mechanics lien first, common law lien second, other commercial liens, most of which will have court orders behind them. Now, I'll tell you a common use of a common law lien. Many people have come to me to set up common law pure trust organizations to hold their property, their real property, their land, and things like that. Okay. Once the property has been put into a common law trust and has been recorded as being owned by the common law trust, once that has all been done, the previous owner of the property, the one who put it into trust, still has a claim against that property. The claim consists of the fact that that person, let's say that person lived in the property for 10 years, and he or she sweated and strained and laughed and cried and lived in that property. Well, that property actually owes that person. A common law lien amount, the actual value of the lien, is determined by three things: the equity in the property, that is the actual money paid for the property; not including interest on loans. Improvements. Improvements are things that have increased the overall value of the property. Again, not including interest on loans. And the third element is what's called life experience, which under common law has value. Let us assume you have a $100,000 property, you have $20,000 in equity, $80,000 is the mortgage. You have to keep paying that mortgage. Okay. You got $10,000 in improvements, and you live there 10 years. Now I know of no formula for life experience, but I use $3,000 a year because it's low enough that it wouldn't be challenged. So you have $20,000 in equity, $10,000 in improvements, $30,000 in life experience. You have a $60,000 common law lien, goes on the property, freezes title in the name of the trust. Now, nobody can go mess with that property because title has been frozen in the name of the trust. You keep making your payments to the mortgage company, everybody is happy. COVID comes. Everything gets shut down. You lose your job. You can't afford to pay the mortgage. The mortgage company wants to come and foreclose. The first thing they do is they find that there's a common law lien on the property for $60,000. They're owed $80,000. The value of the property is $100,000. Since the common law lien gets paid before anything, including the mortgage, because of that, the mortgage company will have to sell a $100,000 home for $140,000 to get their money back. That will discourage them. They will want to work with the homeowner. Now, understand, you can't put a common law lien on property and then stop making payments on the mortgage. That is fraud. Okay, that could get everything vitiated and land you in jail. Do not do it. But it is a way for you to protect property without allowing anybody else to mess with that property. And that, my friends, is today's lesson in liberty. You want to know more about it? Call us off the air at 888-385-3733. We can set up a consultation and give you more details on how it works. In the meantime, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more of the Global Freedom Report. Coming up, Propaganda 101. Stay tuned.
Stay with us. More truth and freedom right around the corner.
What if you could live free from government regulation? What if you could learn how to lawfully opt out of taxes, eliminate personal liability, and travel in your vehicle without Big Brother watching over you? The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, reveals the truth about the American legal system, the U.S. Constitution, and shows how to protect your God-given rights. The American Sovereign provides information critical to all people who value liberty. This 250-page full-size paperback will change the way you live and teach you how to reclaim control over your life. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, is available through Freedom Bound International. Call them toll-free at 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation is the #1 book on sovereignty in the world. Get your copy today.
This is Michael J. Murphy, co-producer of the groundbreaking documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying? And you're listening to the Global Freedom Report with Brent Johnson.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop.
Here's to you, Mr. Jefferson. We all miss you more than you will know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you, please, Mr. Madison. Heaven help these fools that legislate. Rights away. Our rights away.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson, 866-870 KRLA. If you'd like to be on the show, 866-870-5752. Do you think it is time for U.S. taxpayers to stop financing more than 800 military bases around the world? Eric calling in from Los Angeles. Welcome to the show, Eric. You are on the air. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Good show. Yes, I agree. The answer is yes. We need to bring our troops home where they belong. I hear on the radio all the time, send us donations so we can send care packages to our troops. We have to support our troops. Well, what I say to that is, yes, support our troops. Bring them home. They're needed here more than over there. This is not the Cold War anymore, which was a phony war to begin with. But we're in a new paradigm of cooperation between sovereign nation states, and we have more problems over here right now. We have a Canadian head of state who is not friendly to us, and we have one south of our border who is not friendly with us. We don't know what's going to happen. In Canada, they might even be allowing Chinese troops there. We need our troops here right now. I would make one exception. I think we should do something about Nigeria, which President Trump has indicated. They're massacring Christians over there. Something has to be done over there. But that's what I want to convey right now in answer to your question. It's time to bring these brave men and women home. They're not really serving any purpose over there, thousands of miles away, right?
Hey, I'm with you on that. Eric, would you do me a favor? Okay, when you have a chance, go to globalfreedomreport.us and actually put in there a place for answer the question. Your answer is great. Put it on the website. Everybody will see it that way. I would love for you to do that.
I will.
I appreciate that. Yeah, just so you all know, okay, the question will stay up on the website. So, even if you don't get on the air to say what your answer is, you can always go to the website and give your answer. And I really appreciate it, Eric. Thank you so much. I think what you're saying makes a ton of sense.
All right. Thanks very much. I will.
You're very welcome. God bless you, my friend. All right. Propaganda is a manipulation of the truth to serve a pre-established political or economic agenda. Thomas Paine wrote that government is a necessary evil. Most people read that as meaning government is necessary. I read that as meaning government is fundamentally evil. Propagandists' true objectives are to make racism a propaganda tool. In today's world, there is an entire paradigm that is presented as racism through the ideological concept that all racism is about white supremacy. Numerous books have been written, educational curricula have been designed, and legislation has been drafted based on the premise that white people are all racists and everyone else is a victim of racism. How do you know that any of that is true? And what if it was all a lie? Now, I'm not saying there aren't racists. There are a lot of racists of all different races. But any concept, no matter how absurd or false, can be promoted as truth simply by calling it truth. And that is what propagandists do on a regular basis. If I honestly state that I am not prejudiced against people of color, then the propagandists say that I am in denial. The propagandists do not accept the possibility that anyone is not racist. Propaganda is always based on some truth, and it is undoubtedly true that historically many people in the USA and throughout the world have displayed horrible racist tendencies. Early America saw numerous lynch mobs in which people were murdered simply because their skin was not white. The Tulsa Massacre of 1921 is arguably the most significant example of the worst incidents of racism in American history. However, the claim that white supremacy is the only form of racism and that it exists everywhere and will always exist everywhere is fatalistic. Such an attitude precludes the possibility that people and societies can change. Propaganda cannot allow for the possibility of positive change. Propaganda gets its power from promoting the idea that all injustice is permanent and therefore no solution exists to racial injustice. That attitude is what allows propagandists to maintain control over the general population. The way to defeat propaganda is to always think for yourself and never believe or accept what the evil government and ideological propagandists tell you. Think for yourself. If you want to learn more about how your rights have been undermined by government propaganda, get a copy of my book, The American Sovereign: How to Live Free from Government Regulation. Check out my website at www.freedomradio.us. Everything you find there is designed to help you seek the truth rather than believe the lies that propaganda uses to influence you. And that is this week's edition of Propaganda 101. And just a final comment, okay? Every one of you is the king or queen of your life. You are entitled to your God-given rights, okay? And no matter what your race is, no matter what your ancestry is, you are all entitled to that and deserve the respect and the appreciation, okay, that comes along with being a child of God. What are you willing to do to protect and preserve your liberty? And what are you not willing to do to protect and preserve that same liberty? And at the end of the day, would you be proud to tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, your children, what you did today? Did you tell the truth? Did you keep your word? Did you honor your agreements? If not, then please correct any trespass on your brother or sister and do it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is too late. And all of us are your brothers and sisters. On next week's show, we'll bring you another edition of Freedom Follies, featuring artists working to promote freedom and individual rights. Also, more of a look at the Declaration. Plus, we'll bring you another invaluable edition of Lessons in Liberty, where you learn really useful things they never taught you in public school. And we'll embark on our weekly journey into the dirty world of mind control and behavioral manipulation on Propaganda 101. That's all coming up on next week's edition of the Global Freedom Report. Don't miss it. Be sure to visit the Freedom Bound International website at freedomradio.us to learn practical ways to live free from government regulation, or call us at 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. We can show you how to protect your liberty, property, and privacy from government intrusion. So call us, 888-385-FREE. Tune in next week for another edition of the Global Freedom Report. I'm Brent Johnson, reminding you that freedom is your birthright, a gift from God. Treat it accordingly. God bless you all.
You will see that America is still the land of the free.
This program was